Right, hello. So, I thought I'd make a video to show something off that I've been sort of putting together in Base 44, so using AI. But basically, it's something for if you're making an Omsi 2 map or timetable mod, anything like that, with AI or anything like that, and you want specific duties in the documentation for drivers or players to follow if they wanted to work a duty to know where things are. I've created a tool for it. This is a very, very early version of it, so it isn't perfect. It is nowhere near finished. But I'm going to briefly show how it works. So, first of all, you'll start on this screen. What's the dashboard? It will have how many running cards it has loaded in, how many duty cards have been created, how many trips altogether, and how many routes. Very easy. So first of all, you want to import data. You can either do that at this button here, or this button down here. I'm going to do it this way. Select the day type, so either weekday, Saturday, Sunday, and holiday. Then you upload your .ttl file. What you can find by going to any Omsi map. So for my example, I am going to go for Steam Library, Steam Apps, Common, Omsi 2. Maps, Lincolnshire V5. Then, because I'm doing it off a chrono event, I'll do it chrono. Then I'll do the winter timetable. Obviously here I only have Monday to Saturday and Sunday, so I'll select Monday to Saturday. It will load in the file. It will give you a preview of the file you've loaded. Well, I'm pretty sure you can edit. I need to turn it off. In the final build, you won't be able to edit this. This will literally just be a data preview. Then you press prize data. Here we are. So it will show you how many running cards it's found, how many routes there is, how many service trips within the entire day, so 305 trips will run, and how many dead runs, what are now called depot runs. There's 41 altogether. And here you'll just have most of the running cards. I don't actually know how it shows how it's listed here. I'm going to have it so it's listed in chronological order of the tour name. And then here you can either select to auto-generate duty cards, will just basically generate these if you want to do it quickly, or you can build a duty cards manually. That's what I'm going to select. And then import. Then just wait. It might take a couple seconds. The more data there is, the longer it will take. So there is a server refresh limit. Now it's all imported. You'll see a confirmation here. Imported 18 running cards, 305 trips, and 10 routes. They will tell you to build duty cards in Duty Builder. But first of all, let's have a look at the dashboard again. Now it's showing 18 running cards, 305 trips, 10 routes, 0 duty cards, because we haven't created any yet. Running cards, so this will show the running cards and everything within them. They are named based on how they're named in the data, but you can change this by the trip names button. So for example, all of these will just be called Retford Town, for example. So yes, this tool will require you to have some knowledge of what's going on. And then let me just copy that and paste that into all the others that apply. Here we are. So this is obviously Gainsborough to Retford. So we'll type in Gainsborough. Correct the spelling there because I can't spell to save my life. And then again, this will be the same. Then this will be Retford to Gainsborough. So on and so forth. So what I'll do, I'll skip ahead until after I finish naming all these, and then we'll get back to doing the next thing. Stomach was quick. Here, so it's Lin to GNA and SCU to GND. So these are set up in here, so if you have split trips, like on Lincolnshire V5 for split trips. Basically what this means is this is the first portion of that route. So let's say, for example, this would be Scunthorpe to Gainsborough, but on some trips it will just terminate at Gainsborough. On others, you'll then continue to do one of these trips on the top here. So basically what it's for is, so if you name it once, you won't have to name it again. It will just list on the duty as a split trip. But anyway, I'm going to get back to naming them now, and I will see you after. Now we see they're all named accordingly to what I want them to be. This will be how they actually show on the duty card. So it means you don't have to set the trips when you're making your map in this form, like you would have had to. Well, you wouldn't have had to anyway, but it just makes it easier for when you're creating a map. If you want to use this, you can change the name so they show properly in here instead of having to create your map with them. So, to save it, you just press save, and it will save them. Now, because it has to update, even though you've only edited so many, like one of each, it has to save it to all of them. Meaning, the more trips you have, the longer it's going to take. There is a lovely little progress bar here to tell you the progress. This is again due to the server rate limit. But I will see you once it's done. We're now back. As I said, this is very work in progress, so for some reason it froze. And obviously when it froze I had to fix it, meaning it lost the data of quite a few of the trips that weren't already saved. But that's fine, because we're only focused on these ones anyway. Right, so next thing, we'll then head, so let me see, duty cards tab. There's nothing in it because I haven't created any duty cards, so we'll go into the duty builder. First of all, so we'll now hit, so all your running cards are down here. They're in this tab, they're actually in order of running card. Then all the trips. So, what we'll do, we'll hit new duty card. The duty number, so this for this is going to be 501, and the depot is going to be Gainsborough Depot. It's obviously a weekday duty. So, we'll start off by adding a deadhead. We'll just call that depot pullout. That will be at 0510, and it will take 10 minutes. We'll add that. So there we are. It'll be hashtag DH for deadhead, and then we'll add our first trip in. So, as we see here, what's it now done? So as we've added a trip, it's added these. So sign on and pre-trip, set up after the dead run, and at the end this will be pay in and sign off. But this will automatically default to the end of your duty. Above, for trips, this one shouldn't be here. It's only here because I'm doing some bug fixing and working a bug where this wasn't showing up above new trips when changing between running boards. So, at the top of before any of your runs, it will say the bus number. This is the running card number of whatever this is. So, it will be whatever the running card number is when you import the data. And it will basically just tell the player, or the driver, as I should say, what tour they need to select in Omsi to find the trips. The dead runs are included on some maps that aren't. It's just importing that dead run data just creates other complications, so it's easier to just manually add them in yourself, as they don't really mean a lot anyway. So, you then start setting it up as follows. Drag more bits over. Here we are, it's now added layover. So between trips there's obviously a layover, so I've just had it so it just says it's a layover. Before it said break, now it just says layover. So, and that's Lincoln to Gainsborough plus S. This is what I mean about the split trips. So it will say Lincoln together, then it will add a plus S on the end to say it will then continue to Scunthorpe. But this will be set to whatever it's called in your map. So if your split trips are set up properly, so it has the first bit and then a plus for the first letter of the actual destination, it will add that plus in the first letter automatically. That's the only thing you've got to make sure is set up when you create your map or timetable, is when you're using split trips. Otherwise, it will pretty much just go off anything. That's the only crucial bit you need to make sure is right before you do this. So, for example now, it's calculated some things. So it's calculated a start time and a finish time. As I have it set, so you start 10 minutes before you start driving and it finishes 10 minutes after you stop driving. As follows. For example, nice and easy. So this is just as a bit of a thing for you, so you can make sure your duties aren't over length. So, we've done that. We're now going to add in a break. So you press add break. So for example, you need to know how long your trips are. So 6:30. That will then form the 7:30 to Scunthorpe. So what you can just do is have your break start at the time that next trip would start for simplicity. And I know what I'm going to put in next. So I know the break end time is going to be at 8:45, and that break is going to be at Gainsborough bus station. And we save that. It now says here, break 7:30 to 8:45 at Gainsborough bus station. That's all good. And now we find the next trip we want the driver to do. What means I've actually got to find the correct running board with the 95 on it. There we are, 8:50 Gainsborough to Retford. There we are, it's now added that properly. So it now says the new running card is 15:10. What is the new running card you'll have to select in a new bus? Obviously, if we go out of this a minute and go back to running cards, it will say what vehicle group it's in. So you can cross-reference this for what sort of bus you should spawn in. So for example, let's find 1501. Let's find it in here. There we are. So that's first decker, so that should be a decker, that running card. And now let's find 1510. There we are. First large single, so it should be a large single deck bus. That's just been added to be a bit more helpful to the players. So there we are. You'll now do the 8:50.95 to Retford, and we'll have it so they do the 9:50 back, then they'll work the 10:50 each way. So it'll pretty much almost be a 4-hour driving block. What we want it to be. And then we have the layovers on the end. So now this duty ends at 12:30, meaning it's around 4.5 hours in length from start to end. At the minute, it won't actually end at 12:30 because this trip takes longer than that. It's just a calculation. So you can have them be short duties or long duties, however much you like. But for Omsi, short duties are probably better if a player wants to play the whole way through. So now, we'll now have that the driver has to travel . So travelling back to depot. Travels don't have a finish time or any set vehicle because it doesn't matter how you travel it, you've just got to travel it. So you can either walk it, get a bus going in that direction and walk the rest, or get a taxi. It doesn't matter how they do it. Obviously in Omsi you can't get a taxi, it's more a thing for real life. It just tells the player that technically in a real life sense they don't have to get back to the depot. Obviously in Omsi it wouldn't matter. So you can do it without having these on it. but it depends what you're aiming for in your duty cards. So, for example, 11:50. I know for 95 takes 45 minutes, so it will finish at 12:35. So we'll give 10 minutes for a changeover. So we'll have that be at 12:45. It'll have bus no unknown because it is, and there we are. That is a full duty created from start to finish. Finish it around 13:25, so it gives you about half hour. Because obviously there's no length for it to take, so it will just give you that long as a bit of contingency. It shouldn't take that long, but it will give you it as contingency. Meaning this duty is now 6 hours and 25 minutes long, what is about the right length. So, now if we go duty cards, here's the duty. It has the breaks. You can add notes to it if you wanted to. Obviously, we're not going to, so here we are. So, depot pull out. Then it'll just show all the trips. You can now so some functions here like this and unnamed. These will be things that might be filled out with something in the future. So we can now export as a PDF. It's given us a PDF. This is what the PDF will look like at the minute. It's just how it looks like at the minute. It will be different by the time it's finished because obviously this is a very, very rough build. But there we are. And that's basically how you use it. So, thank you very much for watching, and I shall catch you in the next one.